It is. I'm also going to start off by saying that you didn't call me a top tier guest, and I feel some type of way about that.
Hey, listen.
So I'm going to say,
Stop.
Hey, y'all, this is Shel. I'm a top tier guest.
She is a top.
I'm pretty positive the person who gave my name is for sure top tier guest if I'm thinking about it right. And so,
Bro, you are a top tier guest. And you know what's crazy? I'm glad you said that because I'm like, that shows like you really watched and just really paid attention. And Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Armand back again with another episode of Big Boss Talk, the podcast. Listen, I got a guest. It feels like family almost. I mean, I'm going through the whole line, the USC, the Iota Chi. Like, I'm going through that whole train of women, so it's just like it just feels like family. I feel like I'm at home just talking to another sister from another mother, and this guest is gonna be I'm just super glad that you're able to get on the show because I really want to just talk to you and figure out just your journey, just understand where you come from, understand where you are now, and then hopefully we get an idea of like where you're heading in the future. But let me read off who I got. Right, so I got Shel-kay-sha, Lessington, age 34.
You said that right. You said that good.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I was prepping, and I was like, I'm going to get this right. So, yeah, age 34, career/job, community engagement specialist at the Epilepsy Foundation. College/degree, she has biology from USC-Columbia and a master's of public health from George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Years in the profession is 8 years. Now, she also has a few baby businesses that she's working on the side. She's an executive director/founder of the Choose True Project. Also, she's an owner and CEO of Made to Win Cleaning Services. So she's doing a lot, wearing multiple hats. But Shel, say what's up to the podcast.
Hey everybody. I'm literally so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
I think what you're doing is dope. I think you really have to have a passion to do this. And I see all the people that you bring on, and you have to do this. And you are doing this. You're bringing on all these different stories. People are telling you where they came from, where they're going. So I'm excited to be here because I'm a big boss.
Yeah.
So I feel this is perfect.
That's it. You a boss, man. listen, I hope everybody, to me, I enjoy just having a conversation. Every time I get off the computer, I'm like, wow, that was super. It was just like, I don't know, it's some type of adrenaline that comes in. And I'm like, wow, I just met somebody that was super dope.
You can tell.
And, you can just tell that everybody is, A, trying to figure it out. 2, we've all came through some type of struggle, some type of story. And then, then 3 is like, we're still persevering. We're still here. And yes. I just love to see those stories. I love to hear people talk about it. And it's just been amazing. But it wouldn't be Big Boss Talk if you didn't do 2 truths and a lie. And so, Shel, you told me you didn't prepare. So I'm hoping these 3 statements are A1 because I'm going to get this lie.
It is. I'm also going to start off by saying that you didn't call me a top tier guest, and I feel some type of way about that.
Hey, listen.
So I'm going to say,
Stop. Hey,
y'all, this is Shel. I'm a top tier guest.
She is a top.
I'm pretty positive the person who gave my name is for sure top tier guest if I'm thinking about it right. And so,
bro, you are a top tier guest, and you know what's crazy? I'm glad you said that because I'm like, that shows like you really watched and just really paid attention. And I'm so disappointed in myself, but I'm also happy. This like, wow.
It's okay. We here.
You a top tier guest.
Here. So 2 truths and a lie. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna think of something, but I'm gonna think of I don't know, places where I want to live. I feel like I'm a wanderlust. People talk about me like living and doing all these things. So what I will say is I'm gonna get started with 2 truths and a lie, and you gotta figure it out. So I lived in India for a year. I'm born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3, I want to move to London when I finally figure out what I want to do in life.
Okay, I like that. That last one is definitely true. I think that's. I mean, that's dope. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want to live in London? You know what I mean? Like, just when they figure it out, you know, the money's good. We ain't worrying about nothing. We just out here just doing our thing.
Baby, free health insurance. I'm going to the doctor every day, every week.
Check
every
up
week,
on me,
I'm
Doc.
going to figure out something that's wrong.
Doc, I got this bump right here. Look at it.
Can you figure out what it is? I can get some medication. That medication is free, so I'm good. Can I get like a life supply of asthma medication? And like, I'm good.
Okay, so I think that's true. Born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, I don't know if I hear it in there like that real Geechee, you know, that Geechee. I don't know. I don't want to say. You might trick me up right there. And then the first one was you lived in India for a year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say India. I think you lived in India, maybe, but I just don't think it was for a year. So I'm gonna go with that. I think that's the lie. No. I'm gonna stick with that. Charleston is the lie. Charleston, South Carolina is the lie.
Man, I thought I was gonna get you. I got it right. I was born and raised in Charleston. I did live in India, but not for a year. I lived there for 3 months.
Dang, I was gonna go with that, and I was gonna go with that, but I was like, I always need to just go with my first gut.
Yeah, no, I am born and raised in Charleston. People always be like, "You gonna hear it?"
I hear it a little bit, you know, because I played ball with a lot of guys from Charleston, so it was just like I hear it.
Okay.
When they from Charleston, I can hear, like when you say okay, like that right, yeah, you can hear it. And so okay, cool. So India, talk to me about 3 months. How was it? What was it like?
3 months. It was very eye-opening. I went for like my master's program. They had like, let's figure out public health in another country. And I said, let's do it. I never got the chance to go in undergrad. So graduate school, I said, let's do it. I was with a family in New Delhi. I was in New Delhi, so it's like the capital. So it was very, very like pretty modern.
Yeah.
But they were still doing things very different. So like you take a shower with just like the water in the sink, and you eat the food that you eat, which is pretty much rice. You pretty much eat rice, you eat lamb, you eat certain stuff like that. But my family, my host family, like made my experience the best. That's I did get Delhi belly. So they call it Delhi belly is where like you eat food on the streets because I was hungry. You get sick. So I got sick for like 3 days.
That's street food.
That street food out. They said be careful, and I was like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna get it. But like I was well taken care of. I spent Christmas and New Year's there, and if anybody knows me, like those are probably my 2 favorite holidays. And so it was I was very homesick, but it was like a great experience. In India, I'm gonna get it tatted on me. Actually, it's guest is God, and that's how they treat you in India. Wow. If you are a guest, you are God to them. And my host family literally had breakfast, lunch, dinner made for me. Wow. They included me in family plans. I had to do like public health stuff, like go to different villages and see how they do cataracts and all this stuff. But like legit, I felt like at home a little bit, like watching movies that I liked. Like they bought Love and Basketball. They found it somewhere. I don't know where they found it. And I was watching Love and Basketball on Christmas, and I said, "Oh, you know what? Like this is amazing." So India was a vibe.
That's awesome.
Sometimes. They do stare. They were staring at me. I was a black girl. I had long braids. I remember going to Taj Mahal, and I felt like Beyonce. Like I literally thought I was Beyonce. They staring at me. People were asking to take pictures with me. And I was like, no.
They haven't seen an American too often.
And a black girl American.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, cool. That sounds like a dope experience. Now,
it was.
You talked about you said Love and Basketball. Is Love and Basketball like a favorite movie? That's like.
So I know a lot of people don't like it, which is fine.
Yeah.
But Love and Basketball is literally one of my top three favorite movies of all time. I'm a rom-com girl. I love love. I love romance. I love that. And so that story was very reminiscent of like what my high school little play love was. And like we were loving basketball in it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's going to be my life. And so I don't know. It was like my first like black movie, and I just fell for it, right? Because it wasn't that many of them. I mean, like I think it's that chart that of like all the black movies.
Yeah.
But Love and Basketball was my favorite. My mom like literally let me watch that all the time.
Man, I love Love and Basketball, and I argue up and down with your girl Maya, cause she thinks it's not good. Like she thinks the hype is not real, and she was like, she always is like, that's so fake. Like he was like, I forgot what she said, but I try to explain it in a deep manner. I'm like, no, you got to understand, like it was just a little confusion. Like, you know, he had, you know, he was a superstar. She was working on a talent. You know, he needed her. She was like, I'm just getting to the point where you are. I can't really blow this opportunity away.
I felt like it was real as hell, especially in the 90s.
Listen,
like you got to think about high school. You don't have the capacity to even think about, oh, let me be there for my spouse. Like I think you just imagine like being in a relationship when somebody you first meet and you got these big goals and dreams. Your whole family got these dreams, and you just that's all you know. That's literally how she knew how to survive. Him, he was a star basketball player, right? Like, oh my gosh, everybody loves Quincy. She was trying to figure that shit out.
Right.
So for her, I don't know. I get it. I loved it. I also love Sanaa Lathan. Like I am a big fan of hers.
Okay.
Even all of her movies, even if they trash, I still watch them. But like I love her, and so that's like my favorite movie. That was my first like introduction to like black rom-com, like that whole like romance and seeing people love each other on screen and it not being so pretty, but at the end it being this like love story. And yeah, I could talk about it all day long.
You know, double or nothing. Hey, we could, it goes deep in the group chats, and I have to debate, and it goes down. But
put me in the group chat. I got your back.
Listen, I need you, because they be like, man, it ain't even all that. Like, but I mean, I just let them slide. Let them say what they want to say. But I had to hit on that because I heard you say that, and they bought it just for you. So I mean, they treated you with the utmost.
That shit literally made me almost cry. Like I was like a G. I had to like figure. I couldn't cry in front of them because I didn't know them like that. But like I was like, wow, they really, really care about me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So listen, we're gonna go into. I got a couple of questions, right? These are my I call them. They're not surprises, but they kind of surprise questions because it's gonna make you think a little bit. So, favorite city, ATL or HTX?
Ooh.
And you got to tell me why one over the other.
So that's so crazy that you asked me that, because people always ask me Washington, D.C. and Houston, Texas, because I lived in both.
Okay.
So I lived in D.C. for 5 years, went to grad school in D.C., lived there after, moved to Houston, moved back to D.C., and now I'm back in Houston. So I've been in Houston for about 2 years. But Atlanta, I'm going to take your question because your question is valid. Atlanta or Houston, I'm in the place I want to be, right? And so I say Houston because, how do I say this and not be like,
say it.
Spice it up. Houston is a little bit newer than Atlanta. Atlanta has been known as the Black Mecca, and I think Houston is trying to get there. I think they miss some steps a lot of times in terms of like, I don't know, food, Black culture, restaurant. They missed that, and Atlanta got that on lock. Yeah. Like when I go to Atlanta, baby, I'm gonna eat great. I'm gonna have a good time. Houston's still trying to get there, but like the Black people in Houston
is different.
Are like the Black people I want to be around. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's different.
I'm gonna say I don't want to be around the Black people in Atlanta. I love the people in Atlanta, but I think that when you're a transient and you don't actually live in these cities, it's a very different feel. So when you actually meet the people who are from like Houston and you meet them from Atlanta, man, people in Houston love Houston. They ride or for die. Houston. They actually upset that we coming into Houston making it like this thing. They like hate that actually. Like, you know, I've had conversations with girls being like, oh, I mean, y'all coming in here. I know it's a great city, but like y'all are infiltrating our place.
God.
So, you know, I have thoughts, but I'm going to say Houston. Houston, I love Houston. I feel like I could be myself here as a Black woman, as a Black entrepreneur, as a Black woman trying to figure it out. I can be whatever I want to be here in Houston. But hands down. But I've never lived in Atlanta, but I will travel to Atlanta all day, every day.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. I mean, I asked ATL versus HTX because that's a huge thing when people try to compare the nightlife and just like the lounge, the life, that type of lifestyle, right? Just going out. So I always just ask, like, you know, what's going to give you better vibes? And I think you hit on a point where would you want to be around it every day? And like you said, I think Houston is a place where I like being around these people a little bit more than just being stuck in the ATL scene. I will say, but ATL has everything right as far as the vibes concerned. You know what I'm saying? They don't miss. So it's like it's what you miss. Like what you're looking for it kind of comes down to that. You know what you're looking for and what's your long term plans. Like if you're looking for a good time, not a long time, both as well. But it's probably might be best in ATL. If you're looking for a place to establish yourself as a black young, you know, working person, longevity, just a lot of opportunity, I think Houston has the edge on it. I mean, I'm not saying ATL is lacking that either, but it's just different, I guess.
It's different. No, I completely feel you. I also feel like both are great places. Like if you want to like start a family, but you don't necessarily want to be in South Carolina. Yeah. You know, we all from South Carolina, but we don't necessarily feel like we want to start a home for ourselves in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So Atlanta and Houston both, I feel like, provide you that opportunity to do it, and it doesn't seem so overbearing. In DC, I couldn't even think about buying a house there. Like that, that shit just didn't make sense to me to buy a house there. And if I bought a house there, I was living in Maryland or the outskirts of Virginia. And that's not what I wanted to do. But like, you know, when you think about setting that foundation, you can do that in the city of Houston or like 20 minutes away, or Atlanta, you know, 20, 45 minutes away, depending on what you want as a young professional. So, you know, I think it got its perks. I'm team Houston because I live in Houston, but like team Atlanta, y'all rep y'all stuff. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I'm with y'all, but I'm team Austin till the day I go, and it's something about Austin.
The weird city.
Austin is. I'm not really like I'm not the person I like to go and have a good time, but as far as just I like to go out on a regular and not feel like I have to put it on. You know what I mean? Like I gotta feel like I'm dressed up. Like Austin gave me where I can go outside, I can go to a food truck, I can see. I don't know. Austin just got my heart, and so it don't matter about the debate between ATX and ATL because Austin is where I'm at. But I do love Houston over ATL. I love ATL in the same. But what is this is another question. What Renaissance song represents you and why?
Wow. Okay. I love this. It seems very like you like did the research, and I'm here for that. To be honest, that damn album literally has me in like a chokehold. Like
everybody says.
I've been in a fight before. I've got jumped before. And like it makes me feel like when like times I've been on the ground, I could not get up. Like I can see the people hitting me. I cannot get up. That's what the Beyonce Renaissance album has me in. But the album, the song right now that I listen to all the time is Energy.
Okay.
Which is like right after Cuff It, and I think because it goes in so smooth, but like. I don't know. I feel like a lot of energy that comes towards me. Like if something is like deep on my heart, like I literally have to like let it out and release it. And that could be if I release it to like my mama, my best friend, you know, social media. I don't know, but I have to let it out because if I leave it inside, it literally makes me insane. So like when I hear Energy, I'm like, yes, let's go. But literally the whole album from beginning to end, I'm playing. Honorable mention is definitely Heated.
Okay.
Because it just, I don't know, it's like Rich Bitch feel.
Yeah.
I'm not quite her yet, but I'm getting there. But like when I get there and I'm gonna have a Chanel on my like, you know, like on my shoulder, I'm like, oof, I can't wait to walk into a spot and say like, got a little Chanel on me. So I can't wait to that. But that whole album, I just think it's like Black women, you know, people who say they don't like the Renaissance album, okay, like, you know, whatever, save me. But like in terms of like a Black woman who like felt seen through that album, I felt like legit, like it was a different vibe. I got to dance, I got to feel good, I got to be empowered. I felt like I could do whatever I want to do in that album. It was sexy songs about love. It was about twerking. It was just a good vibe. So I'm team Beyonce. I'm team Renaissance. I'm team whatever Beyonce on, I'm on.
whatever Drake like, I like. I don't know if you seen that DJ Khaled. He said, whatever Drake like, whatever B like, I like.
I like. And that's me.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, obviously.
What's your favorite song?
I don't even. So
I know Maya got you listening to it.
Yeah, she got me listening to it crazy, man. Anytime I'm in her car, you know, that's all that's gonna be played.
Period.
And then, but I do feel these sentiments of how everyone says like the songs do provide you energy. You know what I'm saying? Like you can dance to it. You can. It's a club, and like Thick would be probably one of my favorites. You know, one of my top. Like I like Thick. That's one of them. I know Maya's. She likes Cozy. She likes that first. The first six are hers heavy. Like she's gonna rotate those in and out. I'm trying to think what else. What's another one? I forgot the other song the first song, the single that came out that everybody was bumping.
Break My Soul.
Yeah, now that song got crack in it, cause you could be in the gym and you could be like, you won't break my soul. I mean, I'm like to die. Or you know, in the weight room, I'm like, you ain't gonna break me today. So you know, they play it over the intercom, so it's like that song got crack in it. So I mean, I will give it up. I was skeptical in the beginning because I'm not like the hugest Beyonce fan, and I was worried. I was worried because Drake's project, you know, even though everybody says like if you from like up north, that Jersey, like they like that house music, and so like that's their thing. I'm not accustomed to that, and so I was just kind of thrown off a little. But everybody has the same sentiments as you. Chokehold, Renaissance, shout out to Beyonce. The tour is coming.
My girl.
I hope the tour is coming. And then the last question is, what is your best piece of advice that was given to you?
Ooh, best piece of advice given to me.
Yep.
Because I have learned a lot of things in my time, so I'm trying to think. Given to me. Man, okay, so I am 34 going into 35, so I don't feel like I lived this crazy life, but I have lived some crazy things, and I've been through some things, and I have my own life experiences. But what I will say is like the best advice I've gotten from anybody is like my bestie, which is my mom, and she said like always be Shelkecia. Like literally no one else can be Shelkecia, and we did that for a purpose, right? Like if you know somebody else with the name of Shelkecia, like you should probably be like, let's fight, because the way it happened, and you know, like it's my mom and my dad's name put together, and so Shelkecia put together, and it's an accent mark over the E. So like it is very uniquely me. So my mom always would be, as I was younger, like hone into who you are, like figure it out, like wanted to do, I could do. Like I was a tomboy growing up now, and I'm like, whatever. Like I was a tomboy growing up. I did not want to do ballet. I wanted to play like football growing up. My mom was like, well, no, we can't do that, right? Like you gotta do something in the middle. You gotta do at least like basketball, sis. You can't do football. So I would try everything. We tried clarinet. We tried to like be like on a dance team. And she just always put me into these things and say, like, let's figure out what you wanted to do. So, like, as I was growing up, I never had one set thing on what I wanted to do. So I always think it was like a gift and a curse, because, like, I love the people that I know that, like, said, like, man, since, like, middle school, high school, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, and this. And then they just charted their territory that way because they kind of had the blueprint, right? Like, you know, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, you say, boom, 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 you do this. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I want to do because I just don't know. So you got to figure it out. And I feel like after you graduate college, they kind of like throw you into the wolves. They tell you, okay, graduate from, like elementary school, middle school, high school, do real good in high school, right? Like be involved in some stuff so you can get into college. And then in college, get real good grades so you can get you a good job, or you can go to grad school. And then after that, it's like, that's it. It's like, there's no more life instructions. Okay. It's like, you figure it out by yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, OMG. I mean, I remember graduating from undergrad, like happy, but remember being like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't have a grad school after. I don't have a secondary, job that I have lined up. And so it was scary. And I also came from a household that my parents didn't go to college. My mom didn't know what it looked like to do after. And so she was a lot of help in terms of like grounding me to be like, Shel, be the best person you can be. But she didn't know how to give me those actual steps to do those things. And so, I struggled. Like a lot of people after undergrad, or a lot of people undergrad, I always tell people, like, I'm on social media now, and I don't want to I feel like I'm not old, but I am. But like, I didn't have Instagram back then. We was on Facebook. So I never really got to do the probate. I can't wait till I do the probate of like me and my guy. Like I cannot wait because I never got to do that. But two, back then it was like real heavy 30 under 30. Like that was like heavy when I graduated. Okay. I graduated in 2010 from USC. And so everybody was doing 30 under 30. And I'm like, damn, I don't even know what I want to do. Like I'm not even in my career. I'm working this job. How am I supposed to figure this out?
Yeah.
So it was rough trying to navigate that and be like, well, what do you want to do? What are you good at? What do you I want to be a princess all my life. If I'm being hella honest,
explain
I grew up being like, I'm gonna be a princess.
Explain that 30 under 30 for people that don't know. Explain that. And then
so 30 under 30. So around that, like 2010, 11, 12, it was like these big recognitions from companies, from nonprofits to be like, if you were under 30 and you were excelling in your field, then you would get an award. You would get a special recognition.
Okay.
Some people applied for it. Some people were just honored with it from their organization, from their company. Yeah. Either way, but you got this award, and people were posting it all the time, like 30 under 30, boom, boom. I think they now got 40 under 40. I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but that was like a big thing then. I'm 23, 24, 25, even in my 25, because that was like a really pivotal point in my life, because I actually had to move home to South Carolina when I was 25, which is like, you got to move back home to Charleston. Yeah, like, girl, what? Nobody was doing that back then. Yeah. Like, I think now, if I could do it all over again, I'm a big 34 years old, but like, if I wasn't living in Houston and I was living in South Carolina, I was moving back home to Charleston to save money. But like now, it's like a cool thing to kind of move home and save money.
Back then, no.
Hell no, you don't move back home.
Even for me, like even for us, like when we left, like just leaving Rock Hill, like I think my mindset was like, I'm not trying to come back, because I'm a person where I don't have to make a mistake to know that it's a mistake. I can watch everybody else make a mistake.
Ooh, I like that.
And then I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. So I saw a lot of guys leave, come back, and was ended up doing the same thing, like had so much potential. And I was just like, I just gotta stay away. Like if I can stay away, I think I'll be all right. And I think Maya had the same mindset. And so, but I think when you talked about the way you're talking, as far as like it's popular now, I think that just came along maybe probably like 5 years ago, where people were like, all right, let's start you had people that had influence recognize that this is not right. You know what I mean? Like the process and what we're doing is not right. And it took people that had influence, like people that, you would listen to, like certain actors, maybe certain ball players, or certain influential people that had status, to say, be smart. I would go back home, stack your money, and do it again.
Yes.
But people weren't saying that around your time, my time. Like I think it just started coming around, which is crazy.
Yeah, it just started, and I love that. I love that for the Gen Zs, I think, or the younger millennials. I'm a little bit in the older millennials. I love that for them, but it was hard back then. It was very hard. Like, I remember people were getting like big awards. They were having these big ceremonies. They were posting it, and it was just like Instagram had just became this thing. So people were trying to figure out what Instagram, like you had people sometimes just posting sneakers. Then you had people posting like, I bought a house, and you like, damn, okay. Where I'm supposed to be at, right? Like,
I'm still buying sneakers, man.
And I remember my first Instagram post was I had red New Balance. I cannot wait to get them damn shoes. I posted them with like some cute little socks. I'm like, girl, that was like 2012. Girl, if you don't get your ass off Instagram now, like that is not it right now. But that's what it was. And it was hard, but I just say all of that to say my best advice is like just always be Shel-kay-sha. Always be writing your story. Your story is gonna be your story. Nobody can tell my story how I'm gonna tell my story. Nobody can tell Armand's story like how he gonna tell it. So I gotta tell it the best way I know how.
Right.
I'm not about to let you tell my story.
Right.
Hell no. You know what I mean? Like I have to tell it the way I want to tell it, or even envision it. And so that was the best advice. Is like just always be her, like always be Shelkecia. And if you fall away from that, which there were times that I did, just remember that like you were uniquely birthed and like made as this person who was supposed to have this unique gift, this unique, and you got to figure it out too, right? But like this is who you are, and you know we love you. This is your support system. So that's like my best advice that somebody else gave me.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think that's the best advice you can get, you know, when everyone's out here trying to imitate, you know, or copy somebody. Like it's okay to be an original, to be one of one, to be unique. And I thank you.
Okay, Renaissance.
You know, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for
yeah,
you know,
but no, seriously, no, for real.
Yeah, like I think people need to hear that, you know, cause I'm pretty sure people look up to you the same way you might have been looking up to other people, and where you might have been was like, dang, I ain't got no house, so I'm not 30 for 30, you know, 30 under 30, whatever the case may be. Like you were probably looking up to people that were achieving that stuff and getting that done, but yeah, you know, they were probably fighting battles that you would never know. But now, like you're able to kind of express yourself in a more vulnerable state for people that's like, look, I was on this level, you know, I'm here, I'm still figuring out. I can't fake the funk with you and say I got everything figured out. But at the end of the day, I wake up, I'm happy, I'm living my life, and I'm figuring out one step at a time. And I understand, like, my journey is my journey. I can only run my race, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, it takes people like you, you know, to say, like, you know, this is where I'm at. And I think you set a lot of other people free from the restraints and you know, from the comparisons. Like, you know, comparison kills joy. It's the killer of joy. So like, always, you got to be careful with that. But I appreciate that piece of advice. Mom gave the best advice.
Also don't put an age on stuff. I feel like I used to put an age on stuff, and not that those things didn't happen when it did, but like that shit is not real. Like the whole like you got to do this when you got to do this. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but like I really wish. Like I always tell people, like, man, I wish I could go back to when I was like in middle school and high school, and somebody could tell me, like, Shel, you don't have to do this then. Like you can figure it out when you want to. You don't have to go to a 4-year. You can go to a 2-year, stack money at home, figure it out, and then go to another school. Maybe take all your prereqs and maybe go into pharmacy school or medical school. Right. I wish I had somebody to do that, but that was not the thing back in 2008. You know, I mean, 2005 when I was in high school, 2004, that was just not the thing. Everybody was, you got to figure out, this is the path, but like chart your own path. Like you can do that. Don't let nobody tell you cannot do that, because you can. Whatever comes to your mind, do it. Yeah, I just do it. Just do it. Don't let nobody tell you what you cannot do. Not your parents, not your mama, not your daddy, not your granny, not your friends on social media, not the people you don't know on social media. You know, I think sometimes I say this, these influencers now, like transparency is this big thing. And I'm not knocking that from them, because I think it is. I love people who are transparent, but like it is a gift, you know, and I don't sit here and say like it's been this thing that has been a part of me, but like I really think transparency is a part of my gift. And I know when to say it or how to say it and when it comes out to me. And I feel like you can feel when it's real and when it's not. And I just hate that now these new groups of like, I have like younger sisters who are Gen X's or whatever you call them. And they love these influencers. And I'm like, girl, they literally telling you what they're going to tell you. Like, let somebody tell you it, because that's how we learn. Right. I wish I had people who were really, really honest with me. I had my mom who had me when she was 17 and didn't go to college because she wanted to be fun and young. But like, I didn't have like other people to tell me like, Shel, you don't have to do this. It was like, you are a smart girl, you're a black girl, don't be a statistic. You have to go to college. Right. You have to go to a 4-year.
No, you don't.
And so I'm like, I wish I had other people who went through some stuff to tell me like, you don't got to do that, sis. Like,
Yeah.
Just don't.
And I think you are exactly right. I think that the day and age that we're in now, like you can make so much possible without the normal, have to. Now I will say, I'll just say that I think when I look back, I think a lot of chains have been broken mentally. And so now we can teach kids to be in this space where, you don't have to be bound by this system that we've all been in and said this is the way to go, when there's so many other outliers that's breaking the system, breaking the wheel, and making it pop for them. And so I think now we see it so often, we see it so much now because there's so many more people doing it versus like back then. But I do want to get into, I want to go back, right? I want to dial it back and go back to young Shel, right? So we already, I don't know, I did a little bit of research. So we know you went to Hampton. You went to Hampton, graduated. You was a VC. Y'all like the VC?
I was a VC. I can't do it right because no more, but I was a VC cutie my freshman year.
Yeah, see, VC cutie freshman year. And then you transferred over to, the USC. Tell me about the decision to go to Hampton. Why did we leave Hampton? And then how did you get to USC?
No, that's a great story that I don't necessarily talk about because people always are like, you went to Carolina. They have no idea I went to an HBCU, but I went to academic school. I went to Academic Magnet in Charleston. It was very go to school, do the work, and it was a lot of white people. I'm just being honest. And I was like, man, like in college, I got to be around black people. I just got to. Like, this was fun. This was cool. I learned a lot. I feel like college is going to propel me, but like I got to be around black people. And so my mom was, I remember my mom and my stepdad was just like very good with me. Like they took me to Spelman, they took me to Hampton, they took me to Howard. I'll never forget those trips. Like, like being in high school, having supporting you. But I picked Hampton because it was like home by the sea. It felt like it was a little far away, but not too far away. And I wanted at the time, it's so crazy, I wanted to be an elementary ed teacher. Okay. And so they had a really good education program. So I said, I'm going to Hampton.
Yep.
Loved everything about Hampton. I love the tradition of Hampton. I just love being around the black people. I love being like, you go to this event, you dress this type of way, you dress business professional. Yeah. There's a difference between business professional, business casual. You don't go to, I think a lot of people talk about it now, but like, you don't go to class any type of way. You go to class a certain way. You act very, not you perform and you act, but you are there to get an education and learn as much as you can. You had teachers who really, really cared about you. I remember having a teacher who really, biology used to kick my butt. That's why I had no idea why I ended up being biology at undergrad, at USC, but I did. And she would help me. I would go to all of her office hours. But really what happened, I really enjoyed Hampton. It was a great opportunity, great school. But I went home for Christmas and my stepdad was like, we love that I was the first one to go to college between me and my three sisters. Yeah. And my stepdad was like, honest, like, your mom loves that you're in Hampton and like, she boasts about you, but like we are struggling financially. So a lot of these HBCUs, we talk about like HBCU pride, they are expensive if you do not have the scholarships. Yeah. And so I was paying, my parents were paying, I think I got like, and Hampton was a private school at that. So it wasn't like in-state tuition or anything. And so my parents were paying $24,000 out of pocket. So each semester they were paying, I think I got my Pell Grant was like $1,000. I don't remember. It wasn't that crazy, right? Yeah. It wasn't putting no dent in it. Yeah. So my parents was paying that. And so I think my stepdad, he's a real nigga. He was like, we love you. We love that you having this experience, but we are struggling. And so I was like, I don't have to do this to my parents. I got two younger sisters who I want to have a good education. I can move back to USC and move back to Columbia, not Charleston. I was not going to college in Charleston or CSU. No. I could have done USC. So me and my stepdad, we figured out this plan. I didn't tell my mom. I applied for USC as a transfer student. Yeah. He gave me the money to, apply. Didn't tell my mom. I remember going to USC homecoming that semester. Never forget, I thought I was that it girl. My mom had a X5 BMW. I'll never forget it. She was like, you can drive it down. I said, bet. Like, I'm about to be the new girl.
The Beamer.
I'm about to pull up in the BMW X5. Like, it's a wrap. Like, and I'm about to solidify that I'm coming to the school. I mean, I had a great time. There's things I love about the HBCU Hampton, but USC. But like the thing that I fell in love with was like I went to a football game and I said, "Oh my gosh!" Like
the Sandstorm.
They love football here, and I went to the stadium with the Williams Bryce, and that was it. So I ended up just leaving. I was really sad. I still sometimes get sad that when I see like the folks that I knew in Hampton and like the success they've had or the friendships they've had, because it was great times, but also like that was the story that it was, and I've made remarkable strides at USC, and USC has literally, made me the person I am. And Hampton had a little piece of that, my freshman year. But I learned a lot being at an HBCU. Whenever I have kids, or if I have kids, whatever they want to do, I'm trying to ride. We're gonna try to make sure they get scholarships.
Yeah, we need the money.
You know what I mean? But I'm not pro HBCU, pro PWI. I'm like whatever makes the most sense. But at that moment, being at a high school that was predominantly white, I had to be at HBCU. I was like, feeling like I was losing a little bit of myself there sometimes. Like I'm not like a hood nigga, but I'm like a little bit of hood.
You find yourself doing some stuff like, man, what am I doing? This is not. Let me shake right.
Shit, man. I love it to death. Go Raptors. But I was born and raised around my mom and people that was like, black, and they loved being black. And that was just Charleston. That was the thing. I think that's the thing I love about being from Charleston. Yeah. People from Charleston love being from Charleston. And so I was losing that. So I was like, HBCU is the way to go. And so I did that. But man, I missed it. I actually got connected to an old friend that we both lived in Virginia, Cleveland. And she came to Houston and we had a good time. We caught up and it was great. It was like, oh man, like, you can keep your past a part of your past if you want it to be a part of your past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I visited Hampton. I actually was there, recruited by the football team. I thought I would have been taking that trip up there to be a Hamptonian. I remember just going into the cafeteria, and you could see the glass, and then they had the I don't know, the little pond or whatever outside there. I don't know what that is. The water.
So it's like Virginia, Cleveland was right here. The Moton dorm was right there, and so you could see the sea. Yeah, and then right behind it was the calf.
Yeah, and then
like all the Greek plots.
Yep, I fell in love with that. Just walking in there like the calf, and I was like, man, I love the area. I love the school. It was an HBCU. I was like, man, I mean, this could be it. But it didn't work out that way. And it's all good. But I know Hampton, and I visited, and it's an awesome school. I can see why the people that go there love it. Just due to unfortunate circumstances, obviously you had to leave and go to USC. So that's real. That's something that kids have to deal with on a daily. Like, we have these dreams and aspirations to go to HBCUs, but the HBCUs, it's so high, and they don't always offer maybe some of the best scholarships and things of that nature. So it kind of refrains from bringing the people that they want to attract to actually be able to go. And then there becomes this status of, because I know Hampton, like, it's a very classiest place.
And I think just not even like classy, it's a private institution. So we talk about these HBCUs, but not all of them are public. They are private institutions. And private institutions do not give scholarships. Not to say they don't give any scholarship, but there are some people who definitely went to school for free, but there are not as many as a public school. Versus if, I would have went in state, I might have been able to go to school for free. So I really think you got to figure it out. Like if I wanted to stay in South Carolina, maybe I would have gone to an HBCU and went to school scot-free, no loans. Yeah. But I wanted to go outside of South Carolina. I wanted to go to Virginia, and I picked a Hampton based on what I learned about it, the rigor of the program, the just excellence that was there. But I was paying for it,
right?
And I didn't have parents who could afford it just off the rip, and so it was hard. So I just tell people to really just figure out what it is. And if I could go back, I wish I would have like gone back to like freshman year and been like, okay, Shel, if Hampton is a school you want to go to, how do you really get those scholarships to get there? Like, what do you need to get a full ride to Hampton? Yeah. I wasn't thinking like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was like. I was like everybody else. Take the SAT, take the ACT, junior year, senior year, you you apply them schools, and then whatever the money they give you, and you're gonna have to figure it out. But like, think about if we were freshmen and like they set us up for high school, they set us up for college and said, you got to get this to do this. Yeah. We would have been. I think we all could have probably went to the school we wanted to go to.
Yeah, the system. You know, the information is out there. You have to be either know the right people that can give you that information, or you gotta hunt it down for yourself. And so that's what the podcast is about. Like, you know, if you hear this and you want to go somewhere like that, then you know what you got to do. Like, if you know financially it's not there, then we need to be looking now. How can we help you get X, Y, and Z and get to where you need to be? But you know, you are a community engagement specialist at the Epilepsy Foundation. So how did we get into this role? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? You know, what do you love about it? You know, give us a little bit about that.
Good question. So I always say, like, I'm a community engagement specialist at the Epilepsy Foundation, and that's who I am now. But I am a public health advocate. I believe that the community and the health, you always have to promote it. You have to protect it. Where we live, where we play, where we work, those are all a part of our communities, and it's public health. And so I'm a public health advocate to the end. In my 8 years, you know, working in DC, I've got to work a lot of amazing organizations. I've got to work nonprofit, for-profit. I even got to work for the government. I did a fellowship with the, United States government. I've done sales with public health. I've done it all, but in this role, it was very different for me because it's engagement. I think with the community, people always think they can come into these communities and make change. No, like, you got to start where people are, and you got to really understand them. So I'll never forget, I was working in Columbia, the Columbia Urban League. I was working with this program called I Am Woman. It was with Morehouse and Urban League. We went inside these communities in, like, I can't remember what part of Columbia, because I still don't know Columbia. But I had this one lady, I'll never forget her, Miss Cynthia. I hope she is just being amazing in this life. But I was a 23-year-old coming out of school, no degree. I mean, I had my biology degree, but I didn't have a public health background, no kids, never been on food assistance, have never been in Section 8. And I was trying to teach them how to eat right. Let's eat right. Let's not use soap. Let's do this. And she tore me up. You hear me? She said, girl, you in our community talking about this. You don't have no kids. You don't know what it looks like. You got a car. You drove in here. You didn't walk in here. I mean, she tore me up, and it really made me realize, Shel, the way that you connect to community is meeting people where they are and really starting small. You can't make these big changes in public health or even in community when it comes to changing these systematic things that we've all been accustomed to, right? We all have a grandma, we all have an auntie who told us to eat this thing because this is good for us. When really that shit is not good for us. No. Right? But that's what we were taught. And so that is in our mind. And so I couldn't go into these communities. I still can't go into these communities and do anything and try to make them make these big changes. And so my role at the Epilepsy Foundation is really to think about how we connect with people who have epilepsy. And epilepsy is a very, very hard disease. People who have seizures, people don't know what to do when people have seizures. I think in the Black community, we call them strokes, but there are some people who live with epilepsy and they have seizures every single day. They have seizures that may not be as intensive as other ones. It may be just like an eye flicking and people don't know. And so how do we connect them with the resources that they need? And then how do we use the data? I think in the public health sense is data tells a story other than anything. I don't know how you do your podcast, but just think about if you took all the data from everything all the qualitative data you learned from your podcast and you put it in some type of format, you put it in a one-pager and you disseminated it out to, younger kids at elementary school or middle school. That is the way you get the resources out. And that's how you show the data. But a lot of times we have all this data, we just don't know what to do with it. And so I am an advocate to say, hey, this is what we're learning about this community. We are learning that this doesn't work. This kind of works. This may work for a bigger organization. This may work for a group that only has 2 staff folks. And then how do we help them to scale it up? And so that's my work. My work in public health, it is very dear to me. It took me a while to get to public health. I've always been a person who loves to help people, but I just didn't know how to do that. And public health was the way I was able to do it in really kind of like help everybody. I say not Black people, but like help everybody figure out like your health. You have to be the best manager of your health. If you aren't, I can't make you, or I can try.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tell you the things that I've learned or the things that have worked well and that haven't. And we figure it out together. It's never a me versus you or a shout out to Moneybag Yo, but like there's never I'm trying to tell you what to do. It's like we are trying to do this together because I'm also learning from you. And so public health is like, I don't know, it's a big part of me. I am like, I'm in this stage now and I'm trying to think about what is next for public health, because the beauty in public health is I can do whatever I want. I can work in maternal health. I can work in HIV. I can work in the community. I can work in a hospital if I want to. I can start talking to people about diabetes. I can talk about epilepsy. I can do so many stuff with it once you have those skills. And so now I'm really trying to figure out what is next. And I think tech, I'm getting into like this tech work and like designing these tech apps because, there's a lot of digital first initiatives, but there's also a digital divide. It sounds really easy to say, yeah, everybody who has cell phones, call this number or text this number. But like people in rural communities, people who don't have an iPhone, they got just their little Android, they got their little phone that got minutes on it, they can't call. So like, why can't they call that? Why can't they have that access? And so it's all about access and equity. And like, that's like my ultimate goal in public health. Make sure everybody, no matter who you are, where you live, you can, if you want to take care of your health and you want to go to the hospital and you want to figure out, if I'm not feeling good in the inside, I know where to go to get some help or some support or find a therapist. You have that access. And that's what a lot of the public health is in. The people don't have the access, so they can't. So you hear about mental health now, and you hear about people going to the emergency room a lot. Like, I don't want that for my people. I want them to be able to say, hey, I know this one girl or this organization that's like, I know they're going to help me figure it out some way.
Yeah.
And we're going to figure it out together. And so that's like my ultimate goal with public health.
Man, I love it. Public health is you fighting a good fight. And when you talked about food and just going in, it's like they always got this meme. It's like, let this food be good for our nourishment and strength of our body. And then it's like sweet potatoes, collard greens, all the stuff that all the bad stuff that we really shouldn't be eating. And they're like, let it be strength and nourishment to our body. And so public health is such a huge conglomerate. Like it's a beast in itself. And I think when you told the first story about you met you met the lady that kind of like, you don't know us, you don't know the people, like, and I think that's how people it from the outside, looking in, when you go into these Section 8s, you go into these lower income places or poverty driven places, and you're not a part of that atmosphere every single day. You don't know the resources that they don't have, that you have a blessing to have. And you just go in because you're just naive, you're just trying to do the best you can. And you just like, hey, let's do this, let's change this. But it's like, first of all, we don't have the money to do this or that. And sometimes that whatever you trying to get us to go away from, that's all my kids got to eat. And that's how I can mix this up. So it's like, it's a huge problem, like conglomerate, like problem. It's just a big system that's all messed up. But it's people.
It's systematic.
Yeah, and it's people like you though that's trying to be like, okay, I gotta go beneath the surface with this and really get in the trenches with these people and say, how can I affect change? How can I do something different? To where they can feel like, okay, they understand us and they understand where we're coming from. I think that's literally what it is. I mean, I feel like my life is like my community. Like I tell people all the time, like, y'all gotta really find y'all community and y'all people and y'all tribe, because like my community, whether it's public health, whether it's personal, like those are my people, and I feel so good around those people. They tell me, if I'm not doing so great, they tell me the things that I'm doing good. And you have those honest conversations. And so I always tell people, like, find that community, and it's hard to define what that is. And like I've been doing like a lot of research, especially with like the True Project and like what like Black women found community in. But they found community in like talking to each other, saying like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Can you tell me what you went through? You just had a kid. I kind of want to have a kid. Like, can you tell me what I should be scared? Like, those things that's how they kept that community together. And so community is just huge. Public health, community, it all. I just tell people, find your people
and like find people that get you. So I always tie public health and like personal into like everything, because really that's what it's all about.
I love it. I appreciate that insight on public health and kind of just what you do on a daily basis. If believe it or not, we're coming up on an hour that we've been on the
podcast. I would just get started.
Listen. We could go on for 30 minutes to an hour. Like, it doesn't continuously. But I do want to end with this though, right? I think, just like I said, the way you speak of a lot of pain, a lot of overcoming, a lot of I'm still just trying to figure this out. It's almost like you fell into adulthood and realized it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. And I can and I resonate with that, because it's like, you got, they always tell you, dream big. And I want everybody, you need to dream big. But I think you just got it. They don't prepare us enough for the hits of the world, and especially when you're in a time like how we are, right? Especially 2020, a whole pandemic, people being in the house.
Man.
Like, you know what I mean? And then you being the first of so much, like first one to go to college, first one to, you see what it's supposed to look like.
Start a business.
Yeah, start a
nonprofit.
Yeah, you like that's you the first. We one of the first, and so you're walking in territory that nobody can take you through, and it gets lonely. It gets scary. You get weary. You feel like, is God even with me at some point? Like, are you still walking by my side like you said you would? And it's just
you said you was gonna be right here.
Right here.
Do you feel these punches? Like, I feel it.
I can't feel your shoulder. Like, it's like, it's just like, but that's how but you speak with a lot of joy, as far as like, I'm okay. Like, it's something about like you've been kind of like set free almost in your mindset, as far as like, I'm gonna do me to the day I die, and I'm gonna figure this out to the day I die. But you did post something on Instagram. Where you had the goal in 2015. I'm not gonna read it all. This is the opportunity for you guys to follow Shel. She's great, great people to follow.
Yeah.
But what was that? How did you get over that hump? What was the daily regimen that got you out of your lowest and darkest moment? Because there's people that could be listening, watching. They're in that time now, and they're looking for a light at the end of the tunnel. What would be?
Yeah.
What's your advice on how you got out of it? And we'll end it just like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to blame you, because I try to like go, like when I do podcasts, I really try to be intentional about it and like go back to my past. I'm a person who lives in the past and the present, not so much the future. I'm like what did I do? Like, how did that happen to me? Like, how am I better now? And so I was like going through some old stuff, and I found that. And I broke down immediately, because 2015 was like a rebirth for me. I had, after I graduated 2010, and then it was like that after undergrad life, and it was just not the life that I expected. I hope people go back to it. I mean, I definitely want to repost it when this comes out, but it was hard. I get a little bit emotional. I was low. I was very low. I think it's Suicide Prevention Month. It was never about suicide. I know people always think when something horrible happen, you think about suicide. I was never suicidal. I was just depressed.
Yeah.
Right. I was just really, really sad. And for a person who is an extrovert at their highest, when they feel really low, you are thinking you are not living in your mind. And so that person who people met 2011, 2014, that is not the same Shel. That girl, I don't recognize her. But how I got out of it is, I think the blessing and the curse, I got to move home. So my parents got to put eyes on me, right? And so they could tell when I was sad. Think about if I was living in Columbia, which I wanted to stay in Columbia. I was lying to people back then. People who were in Columbia and I was in Charleston. How are you, Shel? Oh, I'm good, girl. I'm just living life, just doing my thing. Meanwhile, I was depressed. I was I am not excelling. I was living day to day. I was losing weight. I was like drinking really bad. I tell people all the time, like genes are a thing. Like, you know, when you have those genes of alcoholism, baby, you better fight. You better fight for that, because it is a hard thing to think. So I've had history in the past of alcoholism, and so I reverted to that, and so it was bad. It was very, very dark for me. But my parents, again, got to put eyes on me. You know, I'll never forget. I can talk about this now, but the night after I spent the night at jail, I remember coming back home and my mama being like, in my 46 years of life, I've never went to jail. Like, I've never had to do that. And I'm sitting there like,
oh, God.
Like, you know, but like, that happened to me. And my mom, I explained to them what happened and how it happened and being in Charleston during that time with police. But either way, it was an experience. I don't wish that on like anybody, because that was just hard for somebody. It was hard for me. But what got me through that is just like my parents. If I can be honest, my parents, my family, I see this all the time. Like my mom and my stepdad, which is like my dad. I mean, that's my hen. Like I love him to death. He has been very instrumental to be like, you can make mistakes and it's okay. Like we are very, very upset. We are a little like hurt that you did this, but like we know it's gonna keep getting better, you know. And that helped me. And literally, I was thinking to your question. I was looking. I was like, "Dan, you posted this, but like, what is the back? Like, how did you get out of this?" And essentially, in March 2014, I got into George Washington University at DC. And so I had imposter syndrome before imposter syndrome was a thing. Like, you know, people talk about it now. I had it in 2014. Like, no way is this top 15 public health school telling me they want me to be in a school after I done been to jail, after I couldn't pass no classes. My GPA was trash. I, didn't have no really great experience after undergrad. No way do they want me. And they said they wanted me. And so I still had a little bit of imposter in that 2014, but I got out of it because, I don't want to get biblical, but it was God. I mean, I feel like back then at 2011, I was very skeptical. I think people don't talk about that enough, but I had given up. I had given up on God. I had given up on Bible, reading the Bible. People talk about affirmations, motivations, and scripture. I was done with that shit in 2011. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, no, this is not how I saw my life to be. I was not supposed to be the girl in jail, having to take out all my piercings in my ears and everywhere, because I got to, like, I just never imagined that. Yeah. So I say, like, I got through it because he had to have been looking over me, even though I was very disobedient. I wasn't disciplined. I wasn't trying to be consistent with him. I wasn't talking to him. He had to have some type of thing to be like, girl, you got a gift. Whatever this gift is, I'm going to try to hone it for you. You may not see it now, but like it's going to happen. So right now, as I live in my story, I'm like, you have to be, you have to like live this life to show like, baby, this is my life, and I'm going to go through it. But back then, I couldn't see it. Then, I couldn't see it then, but now it is me, and I can't let him down again. I cannot let God down again. I did back then because I was at my lowest. I still get really low. I think that's the thing too. People think you're super successful and you don't get really, really low or really, really sad. You still get really sad, really low, just in life. I think life is always about learning and growing and doing and being and failing and not failing. I tell people, shout out to the people who like don't have to go through shit. Like, I love y'all. Like, I wish that was my story. But that's not my story. That's y'all's story. But like my story is like, again, I say it's like my favorite story, and I have this renewed sense of like purpose and passion and being who I am. And Shel, when it gets really, really tough and like you are scared to be vulnerable, that's just who you are, sis. And so when you are vulnerable and it doesn't seem so good to you, because sometimes being vulnerable isn't that cool to me. I'd be like, girls, should you be telling people this? Like, what? Like, are you really telling people you jail? I was low key in my mind about that all day. I hit up my best friend and was like, girl, should I post this? She's like, Shel, it's your story. Like that's the thing about having people in your life who reaffirmed and know who you are. So yeah, man, big God got me through that. And it still gets me through, the pandemic. The pandemic was hard for me. I am a girl who likes to be around people, do this, do that. I lost jobs. I moved. I, had to find new friend circles. That was hard. That was hard as hell. But like now here I am. I'm on the other side of it. Yep. And if some other shit come, I think I'm gonna be ready for it. I think I'm good.
We built for it.
So it's always a learning process. I tell people life will never not throw anything at you, but you just got to be ready. I say my how I live my life and like live it the best way is like you got to have like the knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. Like you got to just like learn, and that's however you do it. So if I'm learning through you now and I'm talking to you, this is knowledge. Or I read a book, or I watch a podcast, or I go to a conference, whatever that is, you got to get the knowledge. And two, you got to figure out the strategy, right? Like, what is the strategy? Are you going to bring people onto this vision? Are you going to say, hey, I'm going to do this by myself, or this is point 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the goals I want to set. I want to do this by this time. You got to figure it out. And then the last thing is like the execution, which is like getting over the fear and just doing it, because you never know what it's going to take until you do it. Like I can never talk to you about 2014 and 2011, 2014 if I didn't get through it and I didn't have this story. I would have never been able to talk to you about that. And so I think that's the beauty of it, right? Like I can now talk to you freely about that time in my life. I couldn't. That's why it's 2015. I low-key was like, girl, bye. Thought you posted something in 2015. Sis, it is 2022 and you talking about something. But like I can now talk about it and freely say like I am out those handcuffs. I am out of the handcuffs of whatever that was that got me, and I'm here. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't go through it. So like I tell people, everybody, just own your story, man. Like it is. Vulnerability doesn't mean accessibility. That doesn't mean that you have access to anything in my life because I tell you whatever I want to tell you. I can post whatever I want, but that don't mean you have access to me, because there's still so many personal things in my life that people don't know. But like I feel like if it tells a story, oh baby, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna figure it out. So
I love it. I mean, it's no better way to end the podcast than with that. I think I do want to let you know, like I think your story is very much powerful. In the way you tell it, obviously it's your story, so you can only tell it how you can tell it. My whole goal sometimes, even when I sit down with every guest, like I try to get people to explain their story, so at the end of this conversation they realize like, man, I really did some stuff. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think people lose the sight that if you look at your steps and how the calculated they are and all the things you've been through, like it led you up to this moment right now. And when people talk about it and I bring it up, I'm like, listen to what you said and look at the things that happened to you and look at your story. That's what I be trying to do for people. But I think what you've done for me is more or less like, wow, like, I'm motivated to kind of share, to continue to walk in my truth, to continue to share my story and continue to impact the people that I can along the way, because it's all about your web of people around you that you can affect and, change. And I think that's what you're doing. And so, I mean, shout out. I know you're doing public health, but you're doing a lot more than just public health. When you speak your story. And I know we didn't get to the baby projects. I know that we can bring that up another time, but I think this is how we're going to end it.
Let's do it again. I'm always down.
Listen, Shel, I appreciate you. The only thing I need from you is 2 recommendations. Who should I get next? I'll reach out to them. You just got to send me their Instagram or cell phone, however they like to be contacted, email. Ooh. I just need 2. If you don't have it right now, that's fine. You can hit me back, but if you got it, I want everybody to hear it.
I mean, if we're being honest, all the people in my life are big bosses, right? Like I am around people. I'm at an age where I want to surround myself with people who are like doing great things. They inspire me. Like if you don't inspire me, more than likely you're not in my life. And I don't say that to say about anybody who was in my life who are not in my life now. Shout out to y'all. Y'all live your best life. But like now, the people who are in my life. So if I had to recommend, it would be Shel-kay-sha Pauline. That is like one of my besties, and her sister, Labria Strong. They started a juice company or a juice bar in Conway, South Carolina, after they lose their mom and their grandma less than 6 months apart. Their mom from cancer. So they wanted people to like really figure out how to like live lives and like drink juices, right? Like eat healthier. And so I will give you both of their Instagrams. And then I'm going to recommend my dear friend Shannon Schultz. She is just moved to Atlanta, lived in DC with me, is this like powerful lawyer, started her own business. I think she has a story to tell. Like, I think her story is one that I love. I know it, but like I would love if she tells the whole world about it. But I don't know if, I don't know if she's ready for that. And I also tell people, you don't got to be ready to be as transparent as me. Like, that ain't what I'm trying to do for you.
Yeah.
But her story is really one of my favorites, because I think to move from South Carolina to DC at a young age and chart this whole life for yourself, and have its ups and downs, and then you finally get to the space where you're like, I'm ready to buy a house in Atlanta and move closer to my family because I'm here. It is such a success story. So I think she would be and she's really funny. She is my board chair for the Choose True project, and she is just like a ball of energy. She is very empowering, and I think she'll just be good. She'll be funny. She does how you do Truth and Lies. She does shenanigans.
Okay.
So she will ask you hypotheticals. So she'll randomly text us random shit about like hypos. Like, would you want, like, it's like crazy shit, Armand. It's like, would you want a nipple as a toe, or would you want your finger to be an ear? Like, she'll do shit like that. Like, you like, girl, what? I'm at work. What are you talking about? But she will think of these things, and she does shenanigans, and it's like the best thing in the world. But she is a ball of fun. I think she would be good.
Okay, dope. I appreciate it. Well, all you gotta do is send me the information.
I'm gonna send you all their stuff though, so you can have it.
Send it to me, and then I'm gonna reach out to them, and then we'll get it locked in. If they say no, that's totally fine. I want people to know that there's no pressure.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. But I'm definitely gonna reach out to them and just say, hey, Shel recommended you. She's a top tier guest.
Yeah.
I need another top tier guest. But Shel, you have a good night. Please.
No, you too.
Yeah, if you need anything, I would love to, if there's any way we can work with the, Choose True project, or anything that you need.
I was just thinking about that.
Anything you need.
Yes.
I want to do more for the community, more for the people. And so Big Boss Talk, we're ready if you're willing to have us. So we'll talk offline, just send us some ideas, and we're ready, okay?
Yes.
Awesome.
I will. I've already been trying to think of it. We are like going into year 3 and we're like losing some board members, trying to get some new board members. But like, I think I have an idea that could be great for me and you and Choose True and Big Boss, like as the company. So I'll send you some ideas.
Okay.
I'll email you.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Well,
all right.
I'm gonna let you go. Okay.
All right. And please tell Maya I say, hey girl, hey.
I will. She be like, tell my twin. I say, hey. I'm like, okay, I got you. Okay.
Well, no, Amar, thank you so much. Thank you. Like, this was fun. Like, you know how you say you were trying to pour into people and make them believe their story? Like, again, it's a reaffirmation that, like, again, my story is, like, the best story in the world. Nobody can tell my story how I can tell it. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. See ya.
All right, bye.